Hello all, this is Art, and for this week, for figure drawing, I was working from Juliette Aristide's figure drawing atelier, the Instructional Sketchbook. And you can see I'm starting out with her gesture drawing, where she basically does like a line of force through the middle of the figure, which is kind of the basic idea of like the curve of the person. And then you kind of draw really rough lines around that, of the body to conform to that line of force. Supposedly, this is something that all like figure drawing classes, courses have you start with to both imagine a figure from your head, if you're going to draw just from your own head, or even if you're going to draw somebody and it keeps the form from becoming lifeless. So if you look at somebody posed, they highly suggest that you draw a line through the person as their line of force, or what they're generally, the curve of their body is. And it's one line like straight through the person. So if somebody has an arched back, it's usually a curve where it's arched concave towards the back and convex towards the belly. From gesture drawing, however, where you're trying to get this idea and sense of like force and rhythm, she then moves you into doing block drawing, which is what I am doing with this man. And this is actually a study of Harold Speed's demonstration drawing from The Practice and Science of Drawing, which is Harold Speed's book. And the reason why I did this one was because he did such bold lines and has such a good figure underneath that I thought this would help me a lot with proportion. Still had difficulties measuring it completely correctly. The foot comes a little bit below, but you can see that with the bold lines, I did a lot better on making a proportional figure, unlike my skull drawing last week, which was almost like an alien in terms of how long the back of that person's skull was. And then here, I've moved on to the next blocking drawing. This is one of her basically studies from the book, where she leaves a blank space for you to then copy the drawing. And it is a study of Edgar Degas' life study of a standing nude. And he was using pencil and paper. When you look at his shading, it's almost hard to believe that he was. But it started out with a line at the top and a line at the bottom to try to like keep me within the bounds of how tall the figure should be. And then it moved towards this really blocking outline of where the figure should be on the page, and then moved to block in the shadows. And then I just did a mid-tone over the shadows, just kind of like a wash of pencil, so all one tone, and then worked to kind of refine that here, and also make the lines curvier as I went. And then once I kind of got her on the page curvy enough and where I think she should be proportionally, I started working on the nuances of the shadows. As you can see, I have my sketching pencil on the flat in order to cover a broader section, and I'm just darkening the darkest parts and also putting in the mid-tones, and just really paying attention to the difference in shade over that shading to make it look much more realistic, or even just more like Edgar Degas' sketch that I am copying, basically. I always find Edgar Degas' work interesting. He actually did not like women, and yet he just exclusively painted like ballerinas and women. But that's the end.